This is a TCEA remote learning video. This is Google Classroom Part 3, and we will be looking how to insert assignments into the classwork. My name is Jennifer Berglund. I'm the Director of Government Relations for TCEA, and I also do some training for the association. You can follow me on Twitter at jberglund, or you can email me at jberglund@tcea.org. I wanted to first just review a couple of things before we get into the actual demo. This is a reminder that there are 4 parts to a Google Classroom: the stream, classwork, people, and grades. And we are going to be focusing on the area where you post your classwork or your students access your assignments. The classwork, there are different types of classwork assignments. One that is just called an assignment. One is a quiz. One is a place where you just post a single question. One is where you post material, and then you can reuse a post and create a topic. The basic components of a classwork primarily are these things on the screen. Some may not have all of them, but basically you will determine who you're going to assign the work to a single class or multiple classes, and to a single student, a few students, or all your students. You're going to provide the instructions for the assignment. You're going to determine what the point scale that you're going to use, if you're going to use a 100-point scale or 20-point scale, etc. You're going to decide what the due date is if you're going to have one. You're going to assign it a topic if you would like to do that as well. And you're going to decide if you're going to use a rubric. And we'll talk a little bit about that in this video, but probably not as much go into as great a detail, but I'll give you a link to where you can find out more about that in this video. And then lastly, you will be adding an attachment, either by adding one that you've already created, or you'll be able to create one while you're working on that assignment. So let's go ahead and get into our demo. Here are the classes that I, as a teacher, have going right now. And we're going to go into the test new classroom features. Notice that I'm in the stream, and this is where it posts announcements and that kind of thing. But we want to go into the classwork area. And a couple of things that you'll notice as we go here is that I have these, actually, I have them organized by different topics, and all of the different topics that I have created are listed over here on the left. But you'll notice that when I assign a topic to an assignment, it groups them. So it's a nice way for you and the students to find an assignment by the topic. Okay, let's create an assignment. We're going to click on this orange button that says create. And when I do, you'll see that I have all these different options. We're going to start with just the plain assignment. So I'm going to click on assignment. And you will notice that I have a pane here where I've got where I'm going to set up my assignment. And this is going to be a compare and contrast the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. And here I would put in, use this Venn diagram to compare blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I need to add a Venn diagram. So I'm going to click on that add button. I am going to come to my Google Drive, and I will have my a Venn diagram that I have already uploaded into Google Drive. I connect it, and when I do, I want you to see that right here I have an option, and this is very important to pay attention to this, because you want to decide, since it's a Google Doc, how are your students going to interact with this? Are they going to just be able to view it and not be able to do anything with it? Or do you want them to edit it? If you want them to edit it, do you want it to be one document that all your students will edit at the same time? And that's a very useful activity sometimes, to have kids to collaborate on one document. But no, for this particular assignment, I want that student to have his own copy, and they are going to write on that copy and then turn that copy in. So I'm going to select make a copy for each student. Now, the reason why this is important is because once you make this, once you decide how you do this and you assign it, you can't go back and change it. If you later go, oh man, I allowed everybody to edit the same file and I want everyone to have their own copy. The only way to fix it is to you have to cancel that. Well, first, what I would do is I would repost it, or use a already created assignment, and then I would delete this assignment. So this is something you really want to, you'll get good at it. You will make mistakes, but this is something that you really want to pay attention. Once I've done that, I now decide which classes I'm going to make this assignment and for how many students. This is going to be one, I'm only going to have one class. All my students in that class will have this assignment. I'm going to keep the 100-point scale. Now I decide the due date, and I am going to have this due this Friday. And I could do the optional time, but I'm just going to say Friday. Here, topic. I have a U.S. Constitution topic. If I did not have one and I wanted to create it, I could create the topic now, but I already have one selected. So I'm going to select that. Now, I could use a rubric if I wanted to if I was going to use a rubric to evaluate their work. I would want them to see that prior to their completing the work. So here I have an option. I can create a rubric from scratch. I can reuse a rubric, and when I click on that, you'll see I have created a rubric, but it's for a persuasive speech, so it's not really applicable here. But there is another area, and that is where you can import them from sheets. And there is a way for you to create a spreadsheet that it's in the correct format, and it will automatically create a rubric. And I have one of those here, and I am going to click on that, and it immediately creates at least a shell of a rubric. I would need to change here the title, Articles of Confederation, comparison, or whatever, and do the description. And then for each one of these levels, I would need to write the description. So what does it mean that it meets standard? What does it mean that it meets approach standard, etc.? Now, I did not come up with this. Hat tip to our friend, Alice Keeler. She has, here is, if you want to get a copy of that, she has shared that rubric on in her Google Drive, and when you go there, it'll say copy, and you copy it and it goes into your Google Drive. If you want more information about how to create rubrics, Google Classroom has a lot of really good information. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on rubrics, but just to let you know that you can go and learn more. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and click Save. And so now I have the rubric attached, and Again, I can decide, do I want to assign this right now, schedule it, or do it, save it as a draft. I'm going to go ahead and sign it now because we are in the middle of this remote learning period. And many of you you're learning this so that you can teach at a distance, which means that you're probably going to want to go ahead and front load most of those assignments into your Google Classroom. And so here is the assignment. Notice that it says when it's due. And when you open it up, this is what it looks like. From a student's perspective, when they open it up, this is what it will look like. And so they have the instructions, they have the rubric, and they have the copy of the document here. When they click on that, it will open it up. It will go automatically into their Google Drive in their folder for your classroom. And then they will be able to interact with that and then turn it in. Okay. So let's go back to the classroom. So now let's go look at the next type of assignment, which is a quiz. Now, a quiz is going to immediately open up this blank quiz. If you already have created a quiz for this particular assignment, you can click over here on X and that will delete that. However, I have not yet created this quiz, so I am just going to title it Articles of Confederation, and I'm going to put name, add a question, who wrote the articles, and I am just going to start listing names, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's say that's really all I'm going to do. I mean, that's pretty much, I want to change the name of the quiz. I have titled it Articles of Confederation. I can now go in here and it should change that title. I'm just going to do quiz on Articles of Confederation. Take this quiz. I'm going to keep this all pretty much default topic. I want to move it into my U.S. Constitution topic. And that's pretty much it. Again, I'm going to save it as a draft. All right, so now notice that it has changed the title down here. So I've come down and I'm looking at the draft and it has reflected that new name, okay? All right, so let's now go and look at a question. So on this one, I am going to ask them to look at a YouTube video, and I have selected the YouTube video over here. I copy that, I paste it in there, I click on that blue button, and yes, this is the YouTube video that I want my students to view. And notice that when I clicked on it, I got a blue box around it. Now I can add it. And so this has been added to my assignment. And the question is, how is the Articles of Confederation different than the U.S. Constitution? So that's the question, and basically I'm just going to ask them, watch this video and answer the question. Now notice I don't have quite as many options as I had before, but I do have two that I haven't seen before. This one is, can students reply to each other? So is this a discussion that you want them to be able to comment on other people's answers? That might be, you might want to do that. Or can students edit their answer? So sometimes you might want them to be able to do that. If it's a discussion and somebody challenges them, then they might want to go and be able to edit theirs. But you get to decide that at this point. So now, by the way, I want to put this in my U.S. Constitution, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it. So when I go back and look at my stream, here is the question. And this is what it looks like from the student. And the students would begin to start answering their questions there. Okay. All right. Now let's look at how to insert material. So here I'm going to actually put in a copy of the Articles of Confederation. And I have that on my computer. So I'm going to click on File. And now here is a copy. This gives my students a copy of it. If I want them to be able to refer to it, I'm going to put it in U.S. Constitution. I'm going to give it to all my students, and I am going to post it. And that way, they have the ability to actually look at the copy of a document, and I have given it to them using Google Classroom. But it could also be a photo. There are all kinds of different things that you could insert here. Just to kind of give you, it's the same thing. You can do files, you can put a YouTube video, you can do a link, you could do a Google Drive. I could create one from here. But basically, this is a way for you to share resources with your students. All right, I'm almost finished. Here is a way for you to reuse posts. This is very nice. When Classroom first started, they did not allow, this was not an option. So you were recreating questions and other kinds of assignments. Here just shows you, if I wanted, for instance, if I wanted to do this, this is a, if I wanted to reuse this assignment, I just click on it. It pops up and it allows me to make an assignment, make any adjustments that I might want to make, etc. So that's kind of a nice little feature. Okay. And then lastly, topics. If you want to create a new topic and you don't want to have to go into an assignment to do that. So that's pretty much it. I think we've covered the ways that you can create different assignments in the classroom. In the next video, we will look at how students interact with that and then how you grade it.